Now, the Labour Party is once again embroiled in an anti-Semitism row after Councillor Azhar Ali, who is standing in the upcoming Rochdale by-election, said that Israel had allowed the October 7th massacre to give it the green light to invade Gaza. Ali has now apologised for the comments, which he called deeply offensive, ignorant and false. But the Tories are still calling for Labour to suspend its by-election campaign and remove Azhar Ali's party membership. We're still joined in the studio by former government advisor James Price. We have to tread carefully here because you're not really supposed to talk about by-elections in the kind of weeks and months leading up to them, but we have to talk about this because it is Labour's anti-Semitism head rearing its ugly head once again. You strip away the surface from so many of these people and they start saying this nonsense. He now says, I'm really sorry, what I said was offensive, ignorant and stupid and all that. Well, why did you say it then? I mean, you can't help speculating that his anti-Semitic bile that he was caught saying, was recorded saying, was to appeal to a constituency that probably is not too favourable towards Israel.
Yeah, absolutely right. On this point, why did he say this? There's two reasons he said it. One, this chap believes this stuff, believes these kind of horrible anti-Semitic ideas that Israel would allow 1,400 of its people to be killed or to be kidnapped and have to be forced to live underground, just they had an excuse to go in and attack Gaza and all the rest of it. Or, as you say, the other reason why he said it is he thinks it's a big vote winner for him because the other people in the Labour Party, in that constituency, in that community, think that's true and have similarly, what do we call it, problematic anti-Semitic views. And either one of those very clearly renders somebody completely unsuitable to be a member of the British Parliament. Yeah,
I mean, Labour's response was, oh, well, he'd just gone down a wormhole of conspiracy theory online. Great, that's what we want as an elected representative. I mean, I think, though, you know, when this guy was first nominated as a candidate, he stood there and made his acceptance speech as the, candidate for the Labour Party in a language that wasn't English and had translators there and stuff. And I thought to myself, what's going on here? I don't think this is acceptable. I don't think it's right to say, well, look, there's a big Muslim community in Rochdale, so we're going to have the Muslim candidate speaking in the first language of many of these people. You are going to be, you want to be a British MP. I'm sorry, I find it deeply concerning.
Yeah, absolutely right. And you know, we should expect to see a lot more of this as demographic changes keep going and our attitudes to demographics don't change. To say, as you said, we should be a kind of, no matter what religion you're from or what your skin colour is or anything else, that you're British, which is the way that the Americans manage to do this stuff a lot better than we do, right? Unless we start changing the way that we kind of police the way we think about this stuff, it's not going to get any better. And for the Labour Party, right, they're almost in a worse position than they were under Corbyn. At least Corbyn's line was consistent. It was, oh, it's all this stuff is all a lie, all the anti-Semitic stuff, it's just a slur against us, it's all mean, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Starmer has come and said, yep, there was a problem with it all now, anti-Semitism very bad. Oh, this guy's said this stuff, but I'm going to stand by him anyway.
Yeah, I know. Pat McFadden said, oh, yeah, you know, he made a mistake, but he has apologised and he's learned his lesson.
Does he believe that apology?
That's what he says. That's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But the law of media requires us to read out the full list of the candidates standing.
Top
yeah, I'll go down to the second Howarth. How's that? Here we go. These are the other people standing in the Rochdale by-election. Azhar Ali, as we said. Mark Coleman, Independent. Simon Danjuk, Reform UK. Ian Donaldson, Liberal Democrat. Paul Ellison, Conservative. George Galloway, Workers' Party of Britain. Michael Howarth, Independent. William Howarth, Independent.
Then you've got Guy Otten from the Green Party. Oh, we can speak about him in a bit, can't we? Raving Rodent Subordinate. That's the official Monster Raving Loony Party candidate. We always look forward to saying their names, don't we? And David Tully, who is another independent. Now, you showed me before you came on air a very interesting tweet by the Green Party candidate. So in the purpose,
yeah, go on. You know,
about this. With it in mind that we treat everybody equally. What was he tweeting about?
So some very robust tweets unearthed by the Green Party candidate talking about how the Quran, the Holy Book of Islam, is full of rape and murder and pillage and all these sorts of horrible things, and therefore it wasn't fit for the 21st century. So that was the Green Party candidate saying that. That's now come out, and he said, oh, crikey, the Green Party mission is so important, I don't want to be in the way of this, I'm going to stand aside now as well. But of course, just like with the Labour Party candidate, it's now too late for these people to be removed from the ballot.
Yeah.
There's
So
nothing
they're
they
both
can
gonna
do
be on there.
about this, Ali
I mean,
guy.
what is so stunning, actually, about this Rochdale by-election more than any others is I think it really is emblematic of huge shifts that we're seeing in society, in politics, not just in the way we're talking about the woke, infiltration of the British Army and its recruitment policies there. We've talked for weeks now about these pro-Palestine marches, the fact that you've had things like primary schools with bomb threats shutting down because they said to their kids, look, we don't want you to wear sort of ribbons and badges saying I support Palestine or anything else for that matter. And now you actually see across the country in the forthcoming general election, this organisation called Muslim Vote, who I think, and I need to check this, is run by a guy who purportedly used to run that Hizb al-Tahrir organisation, which is now prescribed.
Nice guy.
This organisation, Muslim Vote, is plotting to unseat at least 55 Labour and Tory MPs who voted against or abstained on the Gaza ceasefire votes by essentially putting it around their community, saying don't vote for this person because, but also fielding their own candidates where there's big Muslim communities to try and make sure that they split votes and potentially even win seats in Parliament. Now, what really does strike me here is the tail is wagging the dog. This isn't a siren call. This isn't me going, old xenophobic Alex, not comfortable with multiculturalism. I'm saying this is the Muslim community saying, do as we demand, or we're now going to mess with your politics.
Right, and this is a very dark, dangerous road for this or any other country to seek to go down. And it's not too late that we can turn our politics away from all of this. Right, we have at the moment a brown-skinned prime minister from the Hindu background, right, who's as British as anybody else. Yeah. My old boss was Chancellor, was born in Baghdad, come over here, much more British even than I am, right, likes Man United and football in the way that I don't understand any of that going on. Right, these things, it's not about skin colour, It's not about any of this stuff, but it is about the British way of life, and it's about all those nice senses of fair play and all those things that we all like and care about. If we've got big pockets of big communities now who are getting involved not just in the social aspect and cultural aspects and forcing people to cover up hair if they don't really want to and all the other problems that we've seen, now getting involved into national politics as well, right? And you start seeing a big representation either at the next election or afterwards of a big group of people whose primary loyalty is to a certain set of religious ideas rather than the communities they represent, the constituencies or the country, more importantly. That's a very, very dark, dangerous sectarian road for us to go down. Are we ready for that?
Sectarian.
Let's talk about. I mean, I suppose the problem is if you have a multicultural society and people want to do this, that's a function of democracy. But it is a problem. I agree. Talking of problems, Rishi Sunak, they say, and who would dispute it, is presiding over a kind of Tory death spiral, and not expected to do very well in the by-elections or indeed the general elections. Huge calls now for him to swallow his pride, pick up the phone, call Boris Johnson, who for all his faults is a very good campaigner and remains quite a popular figure, in order to give the Tories a better chance at the next election. But Boris apparently has let it be known, well, I might do this, but he's going to have to phone me personally. Do you think that Rishi will eat humble pie and beg Boris to come back?
I would never say never to any of these sorts of things. Egos and personalities are nothing new in politics. I think what would be even better for the PM, who is one of the most hardworking people and is finding that no matter how early he wakes up, however long he stays, however much he reads, however much he works, that he can't get a fundamentally broken system to deliver the kinds of results that he wants. And so I think actually the kind of break glass in case of emergency thing for him is not about calling up Boris or anybody else. It's about doing the kinds of Hail Mary pass, as Americans would call it, in terms of policy terms that would actually get the votes in and say, do you know what, if I win this election, I'm going to fundamentally reform the way the civil service works. Maybe that involves getting out of the ECHR so we can actually stop the votes. It's about dealing with the illegal immigration. It's about locking up enough criminals. It's about that kind of red meat that actually the country is crying out for. And is he going to have the ability to do that? I really hope so, because that's what we need.
I think the problem is, though, if he does stand up and say, I'm going to leave the ECHR, I'm going to reform the civil service, I'm going to deport foreign criminals, that is literally the record that's been played ahead of every general election by the Conservative Party for over a decade now. We've not seen any of those things happen, so I think he's in trouble there. But what's interesting
Yes.
is that, I mean, I think the Conservatives must rue the day they harried Boris Johnson out of office, because despite essentially being a Liberal Democrat who actually was the one who opened the doors to mass immigration and net zero, he is kind of liked by people.
Yes, I agree.
But what is interesting now is sort of leaks from Number 10 suggesting that they've told all these MPs who are going to step down ahead of the next election, realising they're not going to win their seat again, so they may as well go and get a P45 and look for the next job, to stagger their step downs. Tracy Crouch was today's turn on the resignation wagon.
Yeah, well, I mean, the hope is that the polls will tighten, I suspect, right? At the moment, I think as more people start to see just what an absolute shower the Labour Party under Starmer still is, and how they're so policy light, and that you start electing these kinds of nutters in this by-election, if that happens, and anybody else with these horrible views, the things will tighten. But what we really have is, as I said, the civil service is a big problem, but actually the quality of MPs of all parties has been steadily reducing over each parliament. And so I just hope that the Conservatives and any other parties start getting higher quality people, right? You want to think that what a tough job being an MP is, what an unpleasant job it would be, and that you think the number one disqualifier for anybody doing that job would be wanting to do that job in the first place. So perhaps we just move to a lottery system and say, right, for the next few years, like your conscription,
service.
or like your conscription idea, right?
Yeah.
Right, 650 of you unlucky souls are going to have to go in there, and then you just have to do this for 5 years and see if you do it, because then maybe we get some better
Maybe we
results.
could run on a joint ticket and both be shared MP for Gloucester.
That sounds
That'd
like
be
a
nice.
great idea.
I know, wouldn't it be good? It'd be
So
brilliant.
the question, sort of undercutting the election, is what kind of dangerous lunatic would want to be an MP? Here's 650 of them.